The decision to bring Sheldon on board was a big one. A lot of faith on your part, obviously, and legacy going back to Sault Ste. Marie. You have to be very gratified given how well he has worked and then how well the team's done.
Well, with Sheldon, for me there was a comfort there that helped the process. That part's obvious, and the job that he's done has certainly backed up the faith that I had built in him going back to Sault Ste. Marie and the decision to bring him in there. So he's done a wonderful job with the players, and our whole staff has. Gord, AJ, Piero, and Justin Bourne. Everyone's done an excellent job in their role, and Sheldon has been leading that. And it's been great to watch him adapt and watch him continue to grow as a coach. And obviously the regular season was very successful, and we're hoping to carry that on to the postseason now.
What was your personal reaction when you saw these players play for the Maple Leafs and some perform well, and how did you feel when you saw them up there performing?
Pretty similar, I think, Kevin, to how you'd feel when you see a player who played for us in Sault Ste. Marie that went up and played in the NHL, wherever it might be, and the way that you still feel now when you see a player that played for you in a development environment go up and have success at the level that everyone wants to have success at. You feel a little bit proud, you're excited for them as people, and you know how hard that they've worked here. And so it's been a lot of fun to see that. I think the credit goes to the coaching staff and to the players for sure. The players have put in the work here. They followed the advice of every part of our operation. The coaching staff, the sports science staff, strength and conditioning, medical, so on and so forth. And the coaches have always done a good job in every regard in having them ready for the system that Mike would want to play with the Leafs. And it allowed, by and large, every player to go up and fit in and play well. It was a lot of fun to see.
As the top seed, they're going to go in with a target on their back. Sure. That kind of pressure going to be good for their development?
Well, I think in every season that you go into, you want to win as many games as you possibly can. And when you have that type of success and you finish in first, much like Washington in the NHL, everyone knows where you finished, and with that comes some pressure. But our goal here as an organization that Brendan and Lou and Mike have said time and time again is to build an organization that can contend for the Stanley Cup. We're years away from that here yet. But this experience that these young guys who we expect to be with the organization for a number of years are going through, we hope that when we get to that point one day with the Maple Leafs, that they can draw back on this when they went into the playoffs as #1 seed and everyone, there was expectations on them. I think anytime you accomplish something or you want to accomplish something or you reach your potential, at that next stage comes some expectations and pressure. And that's a lot of fun for us to see how the players are going to react to it. And it's just our job to support them and help them through it.
It's often said it's all about development at the AHL until you get to this stage. Then it becomes about winning. How might that manifest itself in the lineup you're going to put out in the playoffs?
I think that it's still about development. That's been our #1 goal. I've said repeatedly that it's, in my opinion, our #1 goal and our only goal here is to develop these players, regardless of what age they're at or where they're at in their career. And that if we do a good enough job stocking the team with talent and the coaches do their job in developing those players and the system that we play is a very good one, that will have success. And winning will follow if the players are maximizing their development. So nothing changes for us. Of course, we're in the playoffs now and we want to win, but development is still our #1 goal.
You touched on it a little bit, but how big would it be for this team to go forward and challenge for a Calder Cup, if not win one? And you've seen the effect it's had on other NHL teams who brought up their Calder Cup champions, for further development.
Right. I think now that we're here and we're in the tournament, you would like to win. We're a competitive group and we're competitive people, but we have to be very leery of the fact that this first round series is a best of 5. We went in last year as a 7 seed, and all of a sudden you're up 2 games on Grand Rapids. That's a very, very solid organization with Detroit and with an elite coach in Jeff Blashill. And we realized, I think the players should have realized last Wednesday, we played Hartford. It was a desperate team. We had all of our players back and kind of mosey into the game just thinking it's going to be easy, and it's really not. It's going to be very hard from this point on, and if the players think that it's going to be easy and they walk into it, it's going to be very short-lived for us. So we need to go in respecting our opponent. There's a feeling of vulnerability when you have a good regular season, as we have, and you walk into the playoffs. Each team starts, I know it's cliche to say, but each team starts at 0-0, and there is some vulnerability to that, and it's a short series, and you start on the road. So if we let our guard down, we're going to walk into the middle of the ring and get popped, and it's going to have to recover, or it's going to be a short-lived experience for us.
Was the decision to start on the road an easy one?
Yes.
Why?
I just think historically it's proven to be the proper thing to do by any measure, to give ourselves 3 games at home. And I think in every series when you have home ice advantage, it's another cliche, but you want to be able to play the 7th game or the deciding game at home, and that's the only way to accomplish that. And so we'll go on the road and play 2 games, knowing we have to win 1 to retain home ice advantage and go from there. But I think for us we ran all of the numbers on it and just sifted out that was the best way to do it. And I think historically in the league, been 20 series in this format, and 18 of the teams have elected to do the 2-3, and they're 14-4, and 2 teams have elected to start at home, and they're 1-1. So it just made sense to us.
Was the decision to buy Orlando an important one, given how much use you needed of them this season and the 59 players that were up here this year?
Yeah, we didn't buy them.
The affiliation,
at least you know something I don't.
No, but the total as opposed to splitting it the way it was.
Right. So the affiliation with Orlando was excellent this year. I know that they didn't have the success that they wanted in terms of wins and losses, and they're in a very difficult division. But the affiliate with Anthony Noreen and Jason Siegel, Joe Haleski, and their staff were excellent to deal with. And I think much in the way that you previously asked about the Leaf players coming up for the Marlies, all of the Orlando players, I think Eric Fye is probably the best example. He had 7 goals in 15 games for us and some big ones. And it was very easy to deal with them. We never had an instance where the logistics were an issue in getting a player to wherever we needed them. And with so many guys shuffling in and around all of the pieces of our organization, it just proved to be an excellent affiliation and worked out very well for us, and we're very happy with it.
In terms of your own development as a manager, what have you learned this year?
A lot. I think from last year at this time on, I think the major thing I've realized that I have a lot to learn and continue to have to learn. This has been a great experience here this year, really focusing on the Marlies and player development for me. Working with Brendan and Lou and Mike and Sheldon, top to bottom. It's been an excellent experience for me, an excellent opportunity to really focus with the Marlies and on the Marlies, and to be able to work with Sheldon together again. It's been great, and I still have a lot to continue to learn and a long way to go to grow and develop as a manager in hockey, but it's exciting. I think there's no better place to learn than here with the Leafs.
Can you give an example of something you've learned to handle better or differently from when you came up from Sault Ste. Marie?
Oh, I think that the personalities of the players, they're much more mature, they're adults. In the Sioux, in junior, you're almost like a parent. Here, you have to provide both a little bit of mentorship and nurturing to some of the players, but some of them are 28, 29 years old and they have families. They're close in age to me, so it's a little bit different. You have to adapt and have to handle each player a little bit differently. I think that's number one. They're much higher stakes here. The players are feeding their families and paying their rent, so the disputes on ice time and different things are more handled by the players than they are their agents or parents. And the players seem to handle themselves, and which has been good. It's been fun.
The players say they've noticed an infusion of resources here. Is that something that you try to bring in terms of food and sports science and all those kinds of things?
I think that if the players realize it, it's simply because my belief and that of our organization is that the players have to come first. So if the players are seeing an increase in resources of the way that we're doing things, it's not been a commitment of sheer dollars to the Marlies. It's been shifted around from other elements of the organization, and my belief is that we have to be about the players first. So what we're feeding them, every resource that they have here, to do is absolute best we can to maximize what we're giving to the players, and to really just eliminate all of any excuse that they might have. So we try to provide everything that we possibly can to the players, on the ice and off the ice, but it hasn't been just purely an infusion of finances. It's been shifting things around and making it more player-centric, I'd say.
Do you think everything Sheldon's been through this year, all the player personnel changes he's had to do, what's your feeling? What makes him so prepared for a job like this? And going back to the great year he had with the Sioux
Yeah.
last year. 2 great years, 2 different circumstances. What makes him the kind of coach he is?
I think you answered it in your question, is how prepared he is, how he's able to identify issues and adapt very quickly, how he's able to communicate complex systems very efficiently and quickly to players who are coming in from playing a very different style of hockey elsewhere, regardless of where that might be, from junior or college or the different teams in the ECHL. We've kind of found guys everywhere this year to play. And Sheldon's been able, I think one of the reasons why we were able to have success with guys coming into the lineup was his ability, and that of Gordon, AJ, and Piero, to communicate to the players the way that we play, the way that we want to play, and to prepare them efficiently, in some cases having an hour before the game when they arrived here to work with them. So it's his ability to adapt and ability to communicate, and how intelligent he is, and how he pushes himself continually to expand his intelligence and his understanding of the game.
Did you find that right off the bat in the Sioux, and that's why you hired him?
I think I found it in my first conversation with Sheldon when we sat down before he came to the Sioux, about a week before we had hired him in the Sioux. We had a very long discussion about hockey and how he viewed the game and how it should be played, and how I did, and it just seemed like a really good synergy, and one that would be a really good relationship between us, and it's been a lot of fun for the last however many years it's been.
Lots of people think you're going to be a general manager. Lots of people are rooting for you to be a general manager. Every time a GM's opening comes up, your name's going to come up. It came up with Don Maloney. What's your plan or commitment to this organization?
I think that, very bluntly put, I don't believe that I'm ready to be an NHL general manager. I believe that I have a lot to learn, and I believe that Toronto is the best place for me to learn that. I don't regret leaving the Sioux when I did, because it was a great situation for our family, and a big commitment from Brendan. And I was convinced that this was a great opportunity for me to learn and expand and improve myself and help the Maple Leafs. But with everything that's going on here now, this is not a place that I want to leave, and I don't believe that I'm ready to leave. I think last year, before Lou came on, I had the opportunity to work with Mark Hunter and learn the role and do part of the role as we got through the draft and went to the GM meeting. And I think frankly speaking, what I learned was that I still have a lot to learn and to get to that level, and I don't believe that I'm there yet. So it's nothing against anybody who suggests it, but I think it's a little bit too presumptuous and a little bit too far ahead for me right now. And this to me is the best place for me to learn, and where I plan on continuing to do so for as long as they'll let me keep coming here.
Still, it's flattering to hear your name on that.
Sure, I guess.
Would anything less than a Calder Cup, would you consider this season a success? Anything less than a championship?
I think when we look back at the year, that the way that we have to evaluate it is to look at each individual player and say, did this player maximize his development over the season? And if we've, internally, I think Sheldon and myself have huge expectations of one another in our program and that of the organization. So if every player hasn't maximized his development, I think we'll feel that we haven't reached our potential. It's playoff hockey. It's a 5-game series. A lot of it, I know some people don't like to say this, but a lot of it comes down to chance and luck. And we'll need to get lucky. We'll need to put ourselves on the right side of the bounces somehow, staying out of the penalty box, out shooting our opponent, getting good goaltending. But for us, it's whether the players have absolutely maximized their development this season is an indicator of whether we've been successful or not. And if that results in us, winning 2, 3, 4 rounds, and then that's great. But we don't lose sight of the fact that development is the key priority for us here.
But certainly a key to development, like the more experience you have in the playoffs, I mean, you can't get that during the regular season.
No,
it is a
can't.
totally different game. Right?
No, you can't, and it's going to be interesting for us to see. It's another opportunity. It's another development opportunity for our players here, starting Saturday at 7 o'clock. It's going to be exciting for us to see how they respond, and we think that they'll be absolutely as prepared as possible. And it'll be another way for us to evaluate how far they've come during the season, how they play starting on Saturday, and obviously we hope that run goes as long as it possibly can.
And could you just talk briefly about the opportunity to capture the imagination of hockey fans in Toronto? having the stage to yourself?
Well, I think there's a lot going on in Toronto right now, so I don't know we have the stage to ourselves. I mean, the Raptors, the Blue Jays, TFC will start, and I think Canadian hockey fans will still be tuned into the playoffs. But I think what we've seen here in terms of the increase in the crowds this year, and what they've told me will be the crowd start, next Thursday when we play here, it looks like it's already tracking to be a sellout next Thursday night. There's like 1,000 tickets or 2,000 tickets remaining for the game, which indicates it'll probably be sold out, which is great. The support that we've received from start to finish is certainly a testament to the business staff led by Mark Lira here and Brad Lynn, our director of hockey operations, and the relationship he's built between the hockey operation and the business operation, and most importantly to the fans. It's been a lot of fun to see the coverage, the expanded coverage that the team's received. It's a great experience for the players, and the infusion of fans into the seats here. It's been awesome. So.
Thanks, Kyle.